welcome to my Not Diets kitchen, where I am super excited to share this recipe with you today because it has been great for me to have in my repertoire. It is a buckwheat tortilla. I discovered a similar recipe on a YouTube channel called Eat Outside the Box, and I've just tweaked it a little bit. The great thing is there are only 3 ingredients. It's got a little bit of salt, water, and buckwheat. This is raw buckwheat. It's sometimes called green buckwheat. Now you look at that and you say, well, that doesn't look green to me, Michelle. But if you look closely, you can see there's a green tint to the tan little buckwheat groats here. And if you get brown buckwheat, that's been toasted. So to make this recipe super easy, we're going to soak this buckwheat, but we're going to do it right in the blender. So we're just going to put the buckwheat into our Vitamix. You want a high-powered blender, whether it's a Vitamix or another brand. I love my Vitamix. 1 cup of buckwheat, 1 1/4 cups of water. You just put it right in there, and we're just going to leave that for 2 to 6 hours. It's been 3 hours. You'll notice that the buckwheat has expanded as it's soaked up a lot of that water. And so now we are going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and we are going to blend it till it's smooth. I start the blender on low. Once it's blended, you can add just a tiny amount of water if necessary, because you want the texture to be about like pancakes, but it makes 4 tortillas. Each tortilla you make with a 1/2 cup of the batter. So I just added a dribble more water, so I have a full 2 cups, and I'm blend again briefly. And I'm ready to get my skillet nice and hot and make my wraps. Okay, our pan is hot. That is key. If you try to put this on a pan that's not hot, it's not going to work. The way to test if your pan is hot is take a couple sprinkles of water. See how that sizzles? That means my pan is ready. So I'm going to pour out a 1/2 cup of my batter. Now, the thinner you make the batter, the thinner your wrap or tortilla is going to be. But when you put this on, you don't have a long time to spread it out before it starts to cook. So don't be afraid to spread it out about 8 inches. This will make 4 8-inch tortillas. So I spread that out, and you can see it's already starting to dry. You're seeing bubbles form there. You're going to let that go till it's totally dry, and as it dries, the edges are going to loosen. And you'll see when it's ready to flip. You don't have to even flip it, but I tend to flip it and cook the other side a little bit. If you want really thin tortillas, you can make the batter a little thinner. You can spread it out. You can even fold them in half and put them in a hot oven for 10 minutes and make them crispy. But what I like about this recipe is it can sub for bread. Bread is just not a healthy choice because it's loaded with yeast, some sort of sugar to make the yeast rise, a lot of times oils. This has no oil and nothing but your whole grain buckwheat, which is full of amino acids, great mineral profile. Did you know buckwheat has a lot of magnesium and iron? Okay, this is starting to, you see how easily that lifts? We're just waiting for this side to dry a little bit more. And then we're going to flip this over. As soon as this gets dry, I'm going to just loosen around the edges, and it should be a pretty color. Notice I put no oil on the skillet. You want to use a non-stick skillet, but do not put oil. The beauty of this is that it's oil-free. You can turn it over. If you wanted it more golden, you could leave it a little longer. It doesn't take as long on the second side. First side about a minute. Then what I found is have a silicone sheet ready here, and you can stack. You're going to make 4 tortillas out of this batter, if you make them this size. Of course, you could make them smaller and make more tortillas, but we're going to just stack them right here on there. And I put a paper towel between each one, and then I just cover it with a cloth to keep it warm while I do the next one. Enjoy these wonderful tortillas. They don't break. You can wrap just about anything you want.